Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Steven Brown, and in today's video, we are going to be discussing what the Maple Leafs are going to be announcing later on tonight before their home opener gets underway. Obviously, I'm talking about the captaincy. One option being John Tavares, and the other one being Morgan Rielly. Now, there's no wrong answer here between these two players, and if your heart is pulling you one way more than the other, then I'm not going to fault you, and I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. I'm going to try my best to make compelling arguments for both sides, even though I know that's going to be impossible, because I love Morgan Rielly. In my heart, I'm saying Morgan Rielly should be the next captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but let me explain myself before you hit the dislike button there. Like I said, there's no wrong choice between the two candidates, but for me, Morgan's just been there through everything. He's only 25 years old, but it feels like he's been on the team through everything. And maybe that speaks to how much we've been through as fans. And I just feel like Morgan can relate to all of that. But you can make that very same argument for a guy like John Tavares, who grew up being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan long before Morgan Rielly was even drafted. Maybe this is just me, but I do not feel like John Tavares was brought in to be that type of presence on the Toronto Maple Leafs. If we're looking at it like making a cake, John Tavares to me was the icing on top of the cake, and Austin Matthews was that bottom structural tier. When they drafted Austin Matthews, it changed the organization for good. There was a different swagger, there was a different type of confidence among the team and the fans, really. Before everything that happened, he was the clear-cut number one choice to be the captain. And if they're going to move forward with the decision anyway, I do not think that they would name him the captain in the middle of all of this going on. So the next logical choice on this cake that the Maple Leafs are building, just picture the cake in front of me. Maybe I'll edit one in. And it's got to be Morgan Rielly. And for me, he's been doing this for years, even though he hasn't had the official title. If you want to talk professionalism, there are no better examples than Morgan Rielly and John Tavares. They're always available to speak to the media pre and post game, no matter how bad the game went. And I don't really know how to word this next point, so I don't want it to sound bad or be misrepresentative, so I'm just going to talk it out, and hopefully it makes sense by the end of it. It's by no means a slight on John Tavares. I'm sure he is this for some fans out there. But when looking at the conversation surrounding Morgan Rielly, I've always gotten the sense that he's been some sort of an inspiration for a part of the fan base that hasn't always felt included in the game of hockey. And when I look at Nazem Kadri, a guy who was here for a really long time, I feel like he was that guy for a lot of fans as well. Maybe a different group, but he was that guy as well. And I think that was part of the conversation and what made it so hard to move on from him and to finally let him go. I'm not saying that John Tavares is not that for people out there, but maybe he's just a little bit more quiet. That's just his demeanor. He's not going to be as outspoken. And I think that the leader of the Toronto Maple Leafs needs to be a little bit outspoken. That is the most political that I will ever be on this channel, I promise you. But I do think that that does have a place in this conversation. The next captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs has to be an embodiment of the entire fan base as a whole. And I think that Morgan Rielly checks all of those boxes. But it certainly does have a really charming ring to it when you look at this tweet from Platinum Seat Ghosts. Here's how this is going to work. They announced the goaltenders numerically. They announced the defensemen numerically. They announced the forwards numerically, ending with, and this to me, just growing up, this has to be Andy Frost's voice when I'm reading this, but I'm not even going to attempt it. Number 91 from Mississauga, Ontario, your captain, John Tavares. There's just something about having the next captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs be someone who's from the greater Toronto area that just really pulls at the heartstrings, and it's really making this a hard decision. I think that this group has done enough over the past couple of years that we're no longer worried about just making the playoffs. That we're no longer worried about management making a dumb trade or a dumb signing that's going to screw everything up. So when you look at John Tavares and Morgan Rielly, I don't really think it matters who the next captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs is. And when I say that, I know that that hurts this video, and that's why I'm saying it at the end. But at the end of the day, all that matters is winning. Just win. But let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section, and make sure to like the video and subscribe because more is always on the way. And guys, as always, take care. Less than 4 hours to go.